Hello, everybody. This is Love from Above with your Sibling Spirit Guides. I'm Maureen, and this is my brother, Brian.
Hey Maureen, hey everyone.
Gosh, we're so happy to be here. If you can believe it, on this podcast, we share daily channelings received from star beings, ascended masters, mythical beings who really exist, and occasionally our ancestors. And today's topic, oh my gosh, Brian, you always say nothing surprises me anymore, but this surprises me. We got recent channelings from the angels, and they weigh in on topics ranging from love and death, which you would expect, but to selfies and what kind of clothes we should wear. I mean, I'm surprised. What about you?
Yeah, I know there are lots of interesting content to discuss. So I welcome it. It's always interesting, like we said, but getting some feedback from the angels, so I love it.
Yeah, so the first one is so I'll tell you, with channeling the angels, it's interesting. We've got these angelic forces of light, and then we have the archangels. And I'm obviously so grateful to receive information from any angelic group, but they feel different to me. The only way I can describe it is the angelic forces of light feel very light, and the archangels feel heavier to me. And so I asked them, what's the difference between them? And the angels responded by laughing. And they said, to you, dearest one, all angels look the same, but this is not true. Angels are a classification of beings no different from humans as a singular species. Just as there are many different kinds of humans, there are many different kinds of angels who serve the one creator. It would be like saying, what is the difference between someone who lives in Indiana or Ohio? These two places are very closely related. However, there are individuations that do exist. The teams that they cheer for, the products that exist in these locales. In this way, we are related to our angelic brothers and sisters. However, we differ in unique ways. And again, this is surprising. Like, I didn't realize there were so many different types of angels. Like the watchers who we hear from all the time, I guess they're a subset of angels. I mean, did you realize this before we started channeling, brother?
No, no, definitely not. So, um, and like you said, you're sort of a just a payphone from the other side, so we get all sorts of different people. Um, an open channel, that come through. So it's interesting that there's so many different groups and that is really unique. I don't know why that is, but normally if you see most people that channel, they always just channel like one entity. But you know, for you, Maureen, it's unique. You can channel all these different entities, so I think that's also very interesting.
Yeah, but I can kind of understand it as well because when you do channel, it's like you enter, like it's like these beings come into you. And so when I first start to channel, if like a new being approaches, I'm always like, I'm always asking like if this is, if this is a being that should be working with us or it's, just that like little, I hate to say it. Brian, I should be over my fear, but but so you do, so it's just easier, I think, to work with the same group over and over and over again because there's a familiarity, just as if you would work with a colleague, there's a rhythm, you can develop over years of being together. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'll go into topic two, angels connected to flowers. This is from Christmas Eve, just recently. Um, and they say we are angels, but a different nomenclature. We are sorted with the flowers like fairies. We burst forth from the tendrils of plant life. In this way, it is always essential to include living things within your domicile. By adding a living plant, you require us to attend to your emotional and physical requirements. We are likened to a bottle of milk. The milk comes from the cow, yet it sits in the fridge. Our beings come within the domicile based upon the loving flower which you choose to gaze upon. And yeah, I didn't really realize that there's, you know, some angelic forces associated with flowers or plants. But I should realize that. So that's good to know.
Did you promptly go out and buy a buy a flower or plant at the grocery store after reading this?
Well, it's we have where I'm staying. It's a big right now a huge poinsettia. So that's the current plant that in place. But yes, I understand that. Yeah, we always have plants around. And especially in certain times of years, I do definitely always try and get flowers when I'm at the grocery store. So I definitely have to continue to do that.
Yeah, so that is interesting, that they're, connected with flowers. And I also think, so just like flowers would clear your space, I also really think that pets, and I'm sure many people would agree with that. So many people around the world have pets, but I really feel like pets, there's something energetic they do to a home you know, to bring in more love, to clear the energy, don't you think?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So I'll go on to the next topic, which this is really surprising. Yes, the angels have an opinion on what should be in your closet. And this really applies to me, Brian, not to you. Because, especially if I'm in the United States, I'm wearing leggings, like tight-fitting leggings. But they said this was from New Year's Eve of 2024. And they said, now we turn our attention to the raiments, the garments worn by your illustrious self. Do you see the drawings of how we were clothed in ancient times? Those are more suitable for the comfort of the illustrious self. These tight-fitting clothes, often worn by women more than men, they cause constrictions. Loose-fitting clothing would allow the free flowing of energy. In this way, we observe another shackle entitled to the female form. We ask that you try to wear more loose-fitting clothing. Isn't that fascinating? Wow.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking this. So we should be like the Middle East wearing the hijab and I mean the not that job, but what's it called?
The
The
abaya,
abaya.
or like tunic and
Tunic,
leggings,
yeah.
and I am proud to say right now, as of recording this, I am wearing some loose fitting jeans as opposed to the tight leggings. But yeah, that was I'm telling you, brother, this is a surprising podcast. Like, yeah, that's a surprise to me.
Yeah, I didn't think that clothing could, have an effect on you. That's what I was surprised by this one also.
But if you think about it, like those clothes are tight. So if I wear my leggings, they are tight. And, so I don't know. So they're talking about the free flowing of energy. So I don't know. Like it just would make sense if you want the free flowing of your energetic aura, then having, tight clothes could somehow constrict that. I don't know. I don't understand how that works, but
I mean, it's not just you. It's I mean, 80% of women wear leggings every day, so
right. Yeah, so it's another shackle put on the female form. Actually I'd have to buy a whole new wardrobe, because that is just like the basis when I'm in the United States. It's just throw on a pair of leggings
yeah.
and an athletic top, and I'm done for the day. So yeah, I'll have to go do some shopping. Um, but
All
do you
right.
want to?
Yeah, I'll do the next one. So the topic four is angels speak about the sun. So now it says we turn to the sun, which is not just a globe that warms your planet and marks your days. This orb has been worshipped in ancient times, and rightly so. For the gratitude we owe our illustrious selves is due to the ever-present loving force of the immense orb of the so-called sun. This orb is a living being, ancient in origin, and tasked with holding the ever-present light of the one, the all. The sun is more than an orb in your sky. That the perfect solution to utilizing such a magnificent being is to offer praise and devoted worship. This is easily done by a simple thank you. Thank you for the warmth of this day, for the beauty of your light, for the ever present awesome power of your glorious rays. Um, so yeah, that's amazing. That one thing I'll say, normally I'm in my home in Austin, Texas, but temporarily I'm living in the Midwest, and I can relate to this because this time of year you don't see the sun at all. It's like gray, and I haven't seen the sun in I can't remember how many days, and we were
Oh,
just talking
really?
about that. Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
So
Well, what this reminds me of is Akhenaten from Egypt. And I don't know if you know your Egyptian history, but Akhenaten ruled for 17 and a half years, and he changed the whole Egyptian religion to worship the sun. And there's a lot of artwork with him. His wife was Nefertiti, which of course everybody knows Nefertiti, but of them and their daughters, like with their hands up, worshiping the sun. But it was not popular with the high priestess and high priestesses. He built a new city. I forget what the name of the city was, and they made a new capital. And they like they totally destroyed it and went back to the old Egyptian religion. Like it was not popular. But that's what I think of when worshiping the sun, because that was Akhenaten's big thing was worshiping the sun. And it's interesting that they say it's an ancient being because Brian, and you always recommend all the books that I read, the spiritual books, but there's been a lot of books that we've read about how, the planets, just like the earth is a living being, so are the planets. So of course it makes sense that so is the sun. The sun is a living being.
yep, absolutely. Um, yeah, so I definitely like we've been told otherwise. It's sort of like with the daily meditation, it would be to go out in the sun in a park or something like that. And I used to go in my backyard in Austin. But yeah, that's something I definitely miss is connecting to the sun. Hopefully it'll get sunny back one of these days or get to a warmer spot. Um, so do you want to talk about the next topic?
Well, first I included, because we also got information from our second channeling session ever, which was in September 2023, where they talked about the sun, the importance of the sun. So I wanted to include that. They said, "We wish for you to acknowledge the great central sun, the birthplace of all creation, the wheelhouse of the energetic locomotion that propels all creation forward. To acknowledge the sun in its central position is to acknowledge the existence of life." So, wow, you can't get any stronger statement than that, right?
Yeah, and do you want to did you want to explain the Great Central Sun? Because they do mention that in a lot of books we've read and stuff. There's just a
I
there's
don't
ours.
understand. I don't understand it, brother. But
Yeah,
we have read about, like our sun is our sun for our, galaxy, but there is this great central sun, which is apparently, the wheelhouse of the energetic locomotion that propels all creation forward. But I really don't understand. Oh, and we
yeah,
actually have done meditations. I think a lot of those meditations for Maureen Saint Germain, if I'm right. You go out to like the great central sun and you collect the light and bring it forth. But I don't really know anything about it. Do you?
no, I don't just I know I it's been referenced in a lot of different books, but yeah, I don't know much more than that. But
So if anybody listening knows about the great central sun, inform us, please enlighten us about the great central sun. So yeah, we don't really understand it, but there is a great central sun, I guess. But this next topic, as surprising as the one about clothing is, this is shocking. brother. This is shocking. Archangel Michael speaks about selfies. Now, that is, I can't even believe I said that sentence.
Uh, yeah, it's interesting for sure. Um, all right, I'll start and then you can carry on. So he starts with saying, I am an archangel. I speak individually now, but we come as a group, for we never travel alone. I am Michael. I'm likened to the sword. I carry my movements are swift to come to the aid of one who has fallen. I am but one of many mouthpieces for the Creator to vocalize their intentions. O dearest one, if you were to look upon a plane and see the multi-diversity of a singular aspect of the unified nation, you would be indeed surprised. For there are many willingly serve in silent admiration of the one. Their generous work goes rightfully unnoticed, for they are singularly focused with their attention on the one, not caring for the adoration of another. We do so bemoan much of the cellular technology utilized for its glorification of the self. The stronger that one identifies with their physical bodies, their physical attributes, the more difficult it is to separate from this illusion. There is nothing more than the loving spark of the Creator placed inside your holographic self. So, let me stop there and get your thoughts on that. I mean, I'm all about that too. It does seem like a lot of our nation is very self-absorbed and these days and but it I love how they talk about how they're, all these entities are singularly focused and not caring for the adoration of another.
Yeah, and honestly, I think this is one of the best benefits of aging is that, like as I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, oh my gosh, look at that. And because I visualize myself probably as I was like in my 20s, and but it's so beneficial because it helps me like not to identify with my physical form. And I find it very interesting that he says that we're nothing but the loving spark of the creator inside a holographic self. So again, there's that we've done a podcast on this about the matrix. Like there's so many references to like this world is an illusion. You know what I mean? We're really in in the matrix in a holographic self, which is, fascinating. Don't you agree?
Yeah, yes, it is like the Matrix, exactly. Um, so do you want to go on with what he says next?
Yeah, so he goes on, he says, "Are you familiar with the Jewish legends of a golem?" Which I have read books about a golem, like children's books about the golem when my kids were little. And so I said, kind of. I think they're like clay figures that are missing the divine spark. Have you read anything about a golem,
No,
Brian?
this is all new to me.
Okay. So, yeah, not really totally clear on the golem, but Archangel Michael said we would propose that in this analogy that the golem is the actual human being. The more attributes that you glorify within your personal self, the less likely you are to notice the brilliant light that resides within. We shall give you another analogy, one you are more familiar with. Do you remember the TV show that you loved called Bewitched, which was my favorite show when I was a little girl? Samantha in the series Bewitched had to shield her true nature from the world around her. She was a divine spark, but she had to hide her magic from her neighbors and her husband. We propose that by taking a selfie, by posting on social media, by glorifying your own individual journeys, you are doing the same. You're hiding your true selves from your own self. Oh my gosh, I got to repeat that one again. You're hiding your true selves from your own self. So just think about that, Brian. You're taking a picture and you're putting it on social media and you're hiding your true self from your own self. Like that just kind of boggles my mind. What about you?
Yeah, well, thankfully, I I never really post on social medias, but I know people that they're, you know, do a lot of it, and yeah, I can see where this becomes, and just in culture today, young people are just so focused on social media and, you know, their selfies and, you know, what other people are saying about them and all that, that stuff that doesn't really matter. So it's good to remember what's really important.
Well, I do post on social media, which I started because of my beloved nephew, your son, and I've been doing for like a year and a half. So I post videos that I make about my travel journeys.
Yeah,
Um,
but it's not, you're not, it's all about the travel and just sharing your, and I love those, but you know, it's
but
not
I,
about your own, and they say that they go on, well, you're going to mention what they
yeah.
say about that, but
So
yeah,
I asked them, should I not post on social media? So the reason why I do this is two reasons. One, I want to inspire people like you know, to maybe like, think about something different. Like honestly, it would be maybe cheaper for you to go to, some of these places that I travel to than to go to Orlando. It would definitely be cheaper for you to go to Orlando, take your kids to Orlando, to go to, I don't know, someplace in Asia that's really inexpensive or something like that. So I want to inspire people, and I also it's memories for me, so I can look back and, my nephew said, when you are not traveling anymore, you'll have all of these wonderful memories. So I asked, should I not post on social media? And they said, you may, dear one, but recognize that the glorification of the self will serve no purpose other than to harm your own being. You may do so, but in a detached manner. We liken that the posts you engage with rarely show your physical frame. This is the best course of action. Again, we say, own the selfie. Bemoan the selfie, Brian.
yeah, I'm all about that. I'm not, I'm not a selfie guy,
I
but
don't even know how to take a selfie, or I guess I do, but I don't like the pictures when, yeah, if I need a picture of myself in some place, I do it the old-fashioned way. I stop somebody and say, "Will you take a picture of me,
the
please?"
same, I do the same.
Which ends up being really nice. You end up talking to them. Where are you from? What do I mean, it's, it usually ends up being at least a 5-minute conversation, which is always a blessing. So, yeah. So, do you want to go on to our last topic, which is love and death? Now we're getting into major topics.
But yeah, we're covering a lot of things. The clothing, selfies, you know, all sorts of stuff. It's very interesting. But yeah, now a big one, love and death. So we are this is from December 12th of 24. We are the angelic light forces. We speak through this vessel like a captain who has commandeered a ship. Our words are true. How does one reach the heavens? In the past, those with their faith felt assured they would pass into heaven, the heavenly realms of eternal, everlasting paradise. Death is not a necessary requirement for entry. We repeat, death is not a requirement for entry into heaven or paradise. One may only click their heels, snap their fingers, close their eyes, and detach from the matrix. What is unreal is the true nature of the opposing life forces. So, what are your thoughts on this, Maureen?
We actually talked about this, I think, like 2 episodes ago, about how, you can ascend. You don't have to die. You don't have to go through the veil of forgetting, and you can ascend. So I think that's what they're talking about. And I think I had mentioned in that podcast, I had just reread the autobiography of the yogi, and that's what all those Indian gurus do. That's what a lot of Native Americans do. That's on a lot of cultures where um they come to the end. I was just editing volume 1, which will be coming out this year, of Love from Above, all of our channel sessions, and Aura just said that when their mission is done, they leave their life forces, or leave their bodies, and we can do the same. We can, when our mission is done, we can just, ascend. We don't have to die. So, yeah. As you say, brother, I'm all for this.
Yes. Yeah. And I think 25 is going to be a big year. I think there's a lot of stuff on the horizon. So I'm looking forward to, you know, um, hopeful for, we're recording this in the beginning of 2023, 2025. And so looking forward to all that is going to happen this year. But yeah, why don't you wrap things up on this topic?
So this is pretty rare. I mean, Brian's mentioned this before. It's very rare that we get an opportunity to ask questions. I think it's only been like 3 or 4 times. And they said, "What would you like to know about?" And I said, "What's important for me to know?" And this is where, when Brian hears the recording that I send off to him, this is what he hears. Ah! Because not only when the words come through me, not only do I record the words, but I can feel the emotion. And I just felt this immense love. And they said the answer, of course, is love. We marvel at how little humans regard this important emotion, yet it's regaled in your stories and your songs. You do well to focus your meditation on expanding this everlasting power. For in truth, only love lives. For it is the love of the one creator that is alive within you. So isn't that beautiful, brother?
Yes, that's what this podcast is all about. Yeah. So I love it. Yeah. So focus on your meditation, the everlasting power, and that's what we always do. So good to hear.
Yeah, and then there was one closing thought. I just thought people would find this fun. So they said, "We shall receive, but there's much for you to do." And they told me I was flying to the United States that day, and they said, "You need to get to the airport early," which God bless the angels. We love to hear all information, even practical information like that. And I was planning to get to the airport within 3 hours of an international flight, which is standard. And let me tell you, I did need to get to the airport early. I got done channeling and I went straight over to the airport and I needed to be. So the angels, God bless the angels. I mean, the seat next to me was empty because, and I'm sure, and they said the plane was totally sold out. And I would bet you that person didn't make it to the gate on time.
Yeah. That, you gotta love that those type of insights when they come through. So that's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you want to continue with our end with our closing thoughts?
Yeah, so this was Christmas Eve. Um, on that what we talked about earlier, that from the angels attached to the flowers, and it says, "Dearest one, we encircle you in the divine light of the one, the all. We wish to remind you of our loving presence. We can be called upon at all times. We wish to reunite with our earthly hosts." Um, and then on New Year's Eve, there was another one that said, "Who are we? We are the angelic forces of the heavenly light. We circle hallowed earth and search for lights that may be dimmed and look to brighten their lives." So, isn't that great? I mean, and that also goes back to what we've said is, um, you know, the early one that said we can be called upon at all times. So, if you need some assistance or, in anything, it's you can call upon, uh, you know, the angels to help you with whatever you're going through.
And what I find interesting is how the angels attached to flowers said, "We wish to you reunite with the earthly host." Because Brian, this is one of my biggest takeaways since we started channeling is that it's like it's not just me, living this life. Like it's like all of it's like I'm with this whole team and we're moving through life together. So I just found it very interesting that they said we wish to reunite with our earthly hosts because, and we've talked about this before, like great artists, whether and great scientists and great inventors, like they were people who could engage with beings from beyond this realm and create something larger for this life. So I find that very interesting. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that is a perfect synopsis of that. So, well, this is a good one. Appreciate it, Maureen.
Yeah, so thank you everybody for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.